Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Intro to Industrialist. My name is Willow, or Wilcow, it depends on where you know me from. And today, I had some help from some of my buddies in the Industrialist Discord server. They came together, and they produced a easy iron coil farm. This is what we will be making today. I'm just going to rewrite all of this. Now, this is going to be pretty expensive to get, and we don't have any of this unlocked. So, today, we're going to get some more research going, and also some more power. Those are our main priorities, as I said in the last video, as all of this is for a better source of money, or income. So we can see we have 320 RP. I'm going to go ahead and open the research tree. And now we need iron, which is this. And we need electric furnace and an ingot molder. And we also need a sawmill and a roller, which also needs the press. So, wow. This also needs... oh, this needs a lot. Well, one thing that we can do right now is we can research the water pump. This is actually going to help us because now we can get the coal power plants upgrade, which unlocks the coal generator, and the turbines upgrade. This sets us up for a pretty good source of power. So I'm just going to delete all of this. Now, if you watched my boiler video that I just put out recently, you'll sort of see what I'm going for here. This coal generator acts as both a firebox and a boiler, and it also produces power. So, I'm going to place in this turbine. I'm just going to put it this way. I'm going to explain this again as well, just in case anybody didn't see the boiler video. I just need to hook up some coal here, as we can see, input for coal and input for water. This is going to output steam, which goes into the turbine for power, which puts out water. So it's a pretty big process, but it's going to make a lot more power than we were getting before. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place 2 of these down. And it's okay that one of these is going to be covered, because you only need 1. Now, going to get the water pump, which we just unlocked. I'm going to place that there. I'm going to place this here. This looks like it's not going to fit, but remember, we have these junctions. And you can see it sort of automatically pipes it for us. I'm going to undo it so I can show you. We take 1, put it there, 1, put it there, and in. And that's all our water done. And I'm going to put another junction right in the middle of these 2. And so I'm going to turn 1 in and another 1 in. And we can see that there's an issue here. This might come up quite often with the auto piping, but that's just something you got to look out for. So I'm going to undo those, and I'm going to redo them. So now, that looks like it's going to be working. Now we just have to source this steam to where it's supposed to go. Good. And now we have this water to deal with. Now, one thing is a liquid dump. You can recirculate this water back into the turbine, or back into the generator, but we don't have a space for that clearly. So I'm going to hook this up to a liquid dump, You don't have to have both of these connected. I just thought I'd do that. Something about these liquid dumps, there's also a liquid burner later on, is that you can see here in the description, dumping anything other than water, particularly residue, causes serious pollution. So, as long as we're only dumping water, we're not going to make any extra pollution. Residue is something that's going to come up a lot later in the game, and residue is a byproduct of industrial production. If you dump it, it creates a lot of pollution, like a lot of pollution. And later on, you can make some scrubbers to get rid of pollution, which will also produce residue. You should just store residue rather than dumping or selling it, because selling it makes you lose money. So I'm just gonna connect up these power slots here back onto itself, and now I'm gonna get a hand crank so I can put some manual power in this thing. So now I'm gonna crank for a little bit just to get some power going. Okay, now we see that our smoke is coming out of the generator, and we can hover and see that steam is going through and water is being dumped. That means that these are all being powered. We get rid of that hand crank, and boom, there's our power. You can see that it's kind of slow, but that's just because we're not using the best pipes, which we'll research later on. So I'm actually going to delete all of this stuff. You can click and drag with the delete tool to drag delete, and this is because since this is our main power supply, but it's not making as much as we'd like, I'm going to actually replicate this a few times. And you can see here we have a half of a unit gap, and here we have something coming out half a unit, and it's even. So what I'm trying to get at here is that this fits together exactly like a puzzle piece. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build just one more of these, since that's all the money we have. Now, looks like we're about to actually run out of money. That's okay though, because the only thing we have to buy is a liquid dump. And we can just replace this, since this has two outputs. Now all we have to do, is pipe this into here. You can click and drag with the build tool to drag place. Okay, now we have just enough, and I'm gonna go ahead and pipe this up the same. Oops. Well, looks like we officially hit $0. That's perfectly fine though, as we can take these two coal drills and we can use these to get some quick cash. You might run into this problem a few times early game if you haven't stocked up enough cash, which is perfectly fine. I don't have enough for a junction, so I'm just going to connect one. Now, you can click this recipe book here. It's not going to show anything. This is actually going to show you a guide on how to bring up the recipes. So I'm going to go ahead and click the coal drill here, and this brings up the recipes for the coal drill. Now you can click on the coal and you can see how much it's worth. $5. So 6 is going to make us about $35, which is going to be enough to successfully wire our stuff back. Or pipe our stuff back, rather. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place these two back. I'm going to make sure that these are piped correctly, and I'm going to continue piping all of this. And boom. There's everything piped. I'm going to go back and I'm going to check to make sure everything's going good. And oops, I did forget to pipe up the water here. It's fine. And that's good. So we're going to use this power. Well, we're actually going to hook up everything here. And we're just going to quickly do all this. And as soon as this is going, boom. Now we can disconnect these. And this is now self-sustainable. That's just a little term that we like to use in the industrialist community for when something powers itself and other things. You can see that this energy, or this node, is full, and this one is about to be full. Now, the reason that I made all of this is just for some more power. Now, believe it or not, I don't have enough for another coal drill. So I'm going to remove one. I'm going to get $50 with this real quick. And there we go. So now I can place this back. And I can place another coal drill to be powered and sell things exclusively now, while making the same amount of power. So now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to just save up some money. But in the meantime, we do have these 2 research stations, which we can also set up, since we're not using all of our power. So I'm just going to place these 2 next to each other. And here's a little quick tip. You can see you can't place models in each other, but if you get close enough to the edge, there you can. Well, you kind of just have to search for it, but it does happen on some models. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect these to power lines. And I'm going to connect this power line to this research station and the other one. Now, you see we're making a lot more power than in the last video. So, we're going to make some quicker research, which we're going to use to research our iron coil farm. Now, the thing about this game is that you might hear people refer to something as ratios. Now, all that a ratio is how much of something you need to be the most efficient. You can see here we have 15, 5, 1, 12, and 12. So the ratio here would be 15, 5, 1, 12, 12. That's just a little term. But you can also notice something here, is that except for 1 and 5, all of these are divisible by 3. So we're actually going to do something here, because we're going to divide all of this by 3, except for, of course, 1, because you can't have less than 1 of something. So 15 divided by 3 is 5, 12 divided by 3, of course, is 4, and again, and 5 divided by 3, you can see that this is not going to be a whole number. It's going to be 1.6. We're just going to round up to 2. And we're going to keep this as 1. So, if we rewrite this, it's going to be 5 iron drills and 2 electric furnaces. I'm going to expand this. 1 ingot molder. 4 sawmills. And 4 rollers. This is a third version of this farm, which might be a little bit too expensive for us. But, you know, it's gonna work a third of the power. So, you can easily expand on that with the original ratio. Anyway, you see we have a lot of RP now. Let's go in here, and let's see what we have. Advanced extraction machines leads to some of the stuff we need. It leads to all of the stuff we need. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. And copper. This is a new mineral. electric furnace and molding, a press, which we're not going to use, but we need it to get to the rollers, and modular tree farm and sawmill. Those are both super expensive, as well as the iron. This is going to be 2,900 RP. That is a lot. Wow. So, what we're going to do, we're just going to expand this with the $272 that we have. I'm going to place one more on both sides, and then one more extra one since we just got another payment. So, I'm going to go ahead and link these up with some LV poles. Going to disconnect these just to get some even transportation. Boom, boom, and boom, boom. I'm going to do this over here too. Okay, now we can send this both ways, and I'm going to get rid of this last one just to keep it even. So let's connect all of these up. Now we can check that we are getting power to all of these just a little bit slower, but we are getting power nonetheless. So here's where the majority of this game comes in, is just waiting for what you have. We can actually scroll down and we can look at the copper drill. So, copper drill here costs $190, which is super expensive. Raw copper is what it produces after 9 seconds of 360 mamiflux per second. Raw copper is worth $5.51, which is just a little bit more than coal, but it can be used for a lot more than coal in terms of making money. So here's some stuff that you can see we don't have, or we can't access right now, because we don't have it unlocked. So you can see raw copper can be used in an electric furnace, a grinder, and a copper drill, of course these two, which is just different ways of production. This industrial drill can't be used in the normal world generation type. This is for ore nodes only. It's very helpful though, but don't worry about it. We can see electric furnace. If we click on the little name next to it, this is what it can be used for. Raw copper to liquid copper, raw iron to liquid iron, iron ingots to liquid iron, and so on. These mixes are made in blast furnaces with coal or coke fuel. It's really just later game stuff in most of these recipe books, but you know, it is what it is. So I was actually thinking, in the meantime, why don't we place down one of these copper drills, and we can replace it with our, we can replace our coal drill with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's see if these are making any excess power. Oh yes, they are. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hook these up then, just cause, so we can have our turbines here focused on generating research points for us. And these are still making a lot of power. Wow. This is pretty slow. We can see that this copper is pretty slow. It's slower than coal, and it's worth not much more than coal. This is actually worse money production than coal, but in succession it can be more than coal. And with how you can transform it. Well, speaking of transforming it, let's see how much an electric furnace costs. Also $190. And the ingot molder costs $150. So that's going to be, what, $340 for an ingot molder and a furnace, which will make copper ingots if we put raw copper into there. That's really expensive. So I'm gonna delete this and drive our raw copper to sell it early. And I'm going to replace this with our coal drills. Oh, you can see server sort of yells at us if we don't have enough money for something. But we made it back because we sold that copper. I'm going to go ahead and connect all of these up. You can see I'm using junctions here to keep a line going. Gonna fix this piping and this one too. And now we need to power all of this. So we're gonna go in with our wires and power it all. Oops. Now you can click on the models instead of the nodes. That's something I've been doing. I forgot to explain that. But that can just make it a lot quicker. We can see now that this is indeed selling coal, and it's selling coal very, very quickly. Almost so quickly that you can't fill it up without it instantly selling. So I'm actually going to sell this depot. And you can see we don't have anything, or we don't have much here. But if we go into the research tree, we can remember the van depot and the huge truck depot. We're going to research the van depot for 100 RP, and it shows up in our second tier. This is our first second tier item. Now, if we place the van depot instead of the truck depot, which we actually can't do because we're just barely short on cash, so we're just going to place this in and get some coal in there, and as soon as it drives you can delete it because that's going to store the selling anyway. So there we go. We can place this van depot and connect it, and it has a cap of 85 instead of 10. So I'm gonna sort of just sit here for a little bit and wait for our coal to sell and our RP to generate, all that good stuff. I'm gonna hook up this to the power lines just to get some extra stuff going. Good. Anyway, I'll wait for this to sell a little bit. I'll see you then. Okay, we have quite a bit of money now. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and delete all of these too. We're not going to need those. We can now place one copper drill since we own it. And we can place an electric furnace. And we can place an ingot molder. And then at the end of that, we can place a truck depot, since I don't think we're going to be making, you know, copper ingots in excess. Anyway, let's pipe this all up. Straight pipe here, check to see if that's good. Fluid pipe turning here, see if that's good. Oh, well, this looks weird since there's not a node here, but it draws from the node to the other one, the arrow. But it is connected. And then there's another one here. Cool. You see that all of that's connected up. And let's get an LV pole going here. I'm gonna do something here just to share power between these two. Okay. So now I'm gonna connect this over. Now we have power throughout this whole thing. And connect this here too. This costs a lot of power. And so does this. But it's all going to be fine. So we're just going to connect everything up. And soon we'll see some smoke coming out of here. And you might see a little animation as this fills up. Any second, and there we go. And we can see that it's loaded a copper ingot. So that's great. There's our new material production and our new power. Now I've actually decided that this iron farm, this iron coil farm, is going to be a very, very big job. And so I'm going to do that in the third video. But all the things we did today, we made a new power source with these turbines, and we connected that to our RP to get some, or to our research centers to get some RP, and we have this new money production, which isn't very good because we only have one drill. Ideally, we should have 3 of these, and we're making new money. Let's see real quickly how much 5 of these sell for before the end of the video. Down here in our console, it's going to show us $133 for 5 of them. That's a lot better than $25 for 5 pieces of coal. So, I think that we can successfully say that we're making a lot more money now than we were before, and we have a good means of power for it. So, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a good day or night or whatever.